Hello and welcome to New Junction. In this episode of Under Closer Inspection, we've got the Dapol Motorized Track Cleaner, also known as the B800, and as it says on the box, the world's only 5-function DCC ready model. I said I needed one back in the Track Magic video, just to see if I could make cleaning the layout any easier. Now it's being run more heavily than before. So it was the easiest and obvious solution to get myself one of these to see how they cope. But before we get it on the layout, let's see what's in the box. And here we are. Now before I go on, this was a second-hand item. It was sold in as new condition. Whether or not there are a few extra bits in the new model, I'm not sure. But this has plenty with it. The first thing you notice once you get your cleaning car out of the ice cube box is that it comes with these sprung pads which go on the bottom of the unit, which I'll show you in a bit. The ones with the white tops are the polish pads, and the ones with the black tops are the grinding pads to sort of break down the dirt. There's also a hoover attachment which is currently attached and underneath the wagon, which again I'll show you shortly. You get this key which helps get them out. You get a spare O-ring for the because it has a liquid compartment, and then you get lots of spare pads and grinding pads. I think in total you get 3 of each of these, and 3 of each of the black grinding discs. And I'm not sure, I got a load of these with mine, but I'm not sure if you get them with a new one. I know you can buy sets of extras, but just so you know. Now this is the wagon on its side. The right hand side is the front and the left hand side is the rear, or of how you're meant to push and pull it. When you fill the wagon with the track cleaning liquid, it will drip out through this sponge here, and then go onto the rails. And then this is the, as we said earlier, this is the hoover attachment. As you can see, if I can zoom you in properly, you can just see the blades. When this spins, it does draw up any dust and sort of rubbish on the rails. However, if you're using a grinding disc twinned with the track cleaning fluid which is coming out of this sponge, that should work very effectively at breaking up any of the rubbish on the track, subsequently to be polished up by the last bit of fluff there. All of these can be changed, and like I said earlier, you can buy add-on packs for them of new sponges, etc. Or I presume you can simply take them off and wash them if you wish. The whole point of this wagon, I suppose, is to make cleaning track on a larger layout, or even just to get you out of doing a chore. So depending on how you feel, the sake of buying an add-on pack again, it's probably worth it if you've not got the time to clean on your track or don't want to. Now this is looking back at the side and top again. If we look at this first bung, if you take that off, that's where you put your track cleaning fluid, which is what drips down onto that first black sponge. You could use something, another brand, such as Track Magic, but they also do their own. For example, this is the Dapol Track Cleaning Fluid. Again, it's worth noting, it's probably as toxic as all the rest, so just be careful when using it. Use some rubber gloves, and you should wear a face mask as well. Moving along ever so slightly, you see that the what look to be windows on this wagon, it's actually the hoover bag almost. So when the hoover attachment is on the wagon, all the dust will collect inside here. That literally pulls off, and then you empty it accordingly. I don't for a second think it would get so full that it would clog up, but that's just where it throws the air current. So it's nicely done, and you can also see what you've collected. Right, so there we go. That's the Dapol Track cleaner. What we're going to do now is take it over to New Junction, hitch it up to something heavy, and get it working, because this is a tool, and we're going to make it earn its keep, and see if we can keep the trains running at New Junction. So join me in an instant on the layout. Right, so here we are on the layout. I've reprogrammed it to be number 3, and away we go. Now there are some buttons on the top, your on and off button, and then one that says CL-power. Off is off, on is on for DCC or DC. The CL power option is if you have a particularly dirty area. I think it just gives the motor a bit of a boost, by all accounts. The advantage of that is that you get really tough bits off the track rails, although you can't do it for very long. It does suggest no more than 5 minutes if you are going to use that feature, and it does have an automatic cut-off, in which case you then have to wait 5 or 10 minutes before you can turn it back on again. You just have to be very careful not to burn it out. So noise wise, let's have a look. If I just turn it on, see, ramping it up nice and slow. That's the Hoover attachment, so not too bad. What I'm going to do now, it's definitely working. It's drawn a load of hair to it from somewhere. But what I'm going to do now is hitch it up to a nice heavy diesel. I'm going to go around with the Hoover attachment first, and then I'm going to swap it to the grinder, along with the track fluid at that point, and then it's going to go to the polisher, still with some track fluid, and then we'll go back over it with the Hoover. So let's see how this goes. Now I've gone round probably 4 or 5 times now with the Hoover, and it started to sound a bit a bit overused. So I thought I'd change it up, and I thought I'd just have a quick peek into the basket, which was clean if you remember before. And I've got to be honest, I'm absolutely shocked by what it's pulled up so far. I thought I'd have to use the grinding pad before I'd really see any sort of rubbish, but if we have a look inside, you can see, if I can just zoom you in, if you can see that, it's a bit dark over here, that it's got a container full. I'm quite shocked at that. Let me put that in a bit more light and I'll show you a bit better. There it is in a bit more light for you. I mean, looking into it, you can see the bulk of it is just dust, and there's the odd bit of green foliage that it's brought up. I'm not sure what the sort of browner items are. Might be a bit of soil, but as you can see, I mean, this compartment was relatively clean a second ago, and no word of a lie, it's only gone round 3 or 4 times, and this is before all the grinding pads and things. Now here we are on its side. I've just emptied the pad. You can see as well how much dust and debris has been caught on this first sponge. Now what we're going to do is swap over the heads, and this is where this little tool comes in. All this does, very simply, if I can do it for you on camera, it pushes in, he says, and then the whole thing just pulls out. Simple as that. and then we swap it over. The one I'm going to do next is the grinding pad. And the same as the Hoover, you've got your grinding pad, which is the darker one, with the black sandy textured cover and a nice spring top, and all that should do is just push straight on. And you can see it does stand quite far off the track, sorry, off the wagon, so when it's actually on the track it should be pushing down quite far, just like that. Classic easily done schoolboy error there. I put it the wrong way around. It's going to the left, and of course you want the disc first, so we'll re-put that back on. What I'm going to do now is don my marigolds, and I'm going to just move you over slightly. Don my marigolds, pull the cap off the top, and fill it with some of the Dapol Track cleaning fluid, and see how that has an effect on the track. That's now in. You can see just at the top it's just full, doesn't take much at all, and that should slowly start dripping through. Always remember before you set off again just to reapply the bung at the top. So we're reconnected, so I'm going to turn the car back on with its grinding disc. Oh, and you can feel that, you can hear that one. Let's get the loco moving. Now that's going. I should say while I'm here, normally on the instructions you'd only put the cleaning fluid on with the polishing pad, not the grinding pad. I'm adding it because I needed to hopefully break up a bit of this grime that's on my sleepers and rails, because it's worse than I first thought. And to be fair, it's these products which are showing me that. Now you can probably hear that screeching around in the background. It's only gone round a couple of times, but if I zoom into the top of my rails, I don't know if you can just see it, you can just see the tops which are dirty, particularly this one to the top of your screens. It's just got the scratches where the disc is obviously going round. So it really is having an effect on the side of the rails. You can see it sort of really cleaning up as I move it around. You can see the scratches. I'm quite impressed with that. Oh, and here it comes. Now if I take you to the rail that's not been done yet, you can see there's absolutely no marks at all. Now this is traditionally cleaned with a track rubber, and to my eye that's extremely clean, whereas apparently not, because you can see how this one, especially the darker brown, is really being worn away now. So we'll leave that running a bit longer and we'll see how clean we can get it. Right, so we've been doing that a few minutes and we've come back in. I wanted to see how much of the track fluid has gone. One thing to note is that it has ever so slightly leaked out the top, so it looks like I'll be using the spare bung sooner rather than later, because as I say again, that is all these track cleaners are quite a toxic liquid and you don't want them anywhere near your hands, eyes, or you don't want to inhale any vapours. So take that as a fair warning. So let's see how much is left. There we go. It's used a fair amount. It's not empty by any means, so it's obviously trickling through ever so slightly. I could start to hear the grinding pad, I suppose, run a bit smoother, so I'm guessing it was just getting a touch lubricated by the mixture. So what I'm going to do now, carefully, because I know that the top is leaking ever so slightly. I think that rubber ring around it is probably past its best. Again, this was a second-hand unit, so I'll be jumping onto the spare. But I'll be upright this time, swapping over to the polishing pad. And we can see why it stopped working. That's obviously been grinding very well. As you saw previously, that it is taking the surface debris off the track, but that's definitely gone through one pad pretty much. Luckily, it's a case of simply pull off the sticky top and then replace it with another one. But no, I think I'd go through a few of those to clean my track properly. But it really does show, though, how much effort is required to keep a good track bed. I mean, my layout's easily just coming up to a year and a half old now, and it's never been cleaned properly, only with track rubbers. But you can see the grime is there. Now, the really good thing about having the polish pad on, of course, it's polishing the track, rubbing in all that liquid into there. But a top tip for you, which makes life a bit easier, if you've got trains with relatively clean wheels that just need a bit of a going over, you can add another loco on DCC only to trail behind. So this Class 70 is following round in the wake of the track cleaning loco and picking up all that track cleaning fluid, and it's cleaning its running wheels, and you can see it's all running quite smoothly, and they'll just follow each other around for 5 minutes, and it makes life really simple. So top tip for you. So we've stopped the train. You can see there it is in the background. And I've taken the pad off, which is the one at the top, as you can probably tell. Here is a new one, so you can definitely see it's definitely picking something up, because as I say, that pad's probably coming close to needing replacing already. And again, that's only after a few minutes of running. It's probably been round maybe 10 times my layout, and that's just one line, so it's definitely picking something up. I've already noticed that in the short period of time doing this, that my Class 66 has stopped what I call glitching. It's when the lights flicker because the power drops out because the tracks or wheels are dirty. It stopped doing that already. So, a final word from me. As you can see, the loco's crawling along. This is honestly after probably 15 minutes of use on this track wagon, and beforehand it simply just wouldn't work. I mean, things like the 66 here with multiple pickups on the Cocoa bogies, you do well to stop them, to be fair, but my smaller engines, the steam engine things, they just stopped, and that's quite literally just after a small bit of maintenance and time. I mean, I've said before, my normal regime before this wagon and before investing in some sort of track magic was literally just a track rubber. So any time an engine gave me a bit of grief, I'd be straight there to that point with a track rubber. but it's got to the point where that simply wasn't enough. And I think for these big layouts we do forget they do need a level of maintenance. That's both the engine, wheels and the track surfaces all in one. And I have to say I'm very impressed with the Dapol wagon. Now before I purchased this I did some research and had read one negative bit of feedback to it was that the discs, with like the Hoover and polishing and grinding discs, had to be changed, and it was a pain. I'll be honest with you, I've not found that an issue at all. They literally pop off and pop back on. There's absolutely nothing to it. The only thing to be wary of, as I keep bleating on about, is make sure you wear rubber gloves and be careful what you touch in between, because you'll get that track cleaning liquid everywhere. But honestly, this is the easiest bit of kit. I mean, you could use it simply when you're running engines in, or I mean the odd 10 minutes here and there. I mean, I've been using it for 15 minutes to make this video, and as you can see, my engines are crawling along with no problem at all. Where before they were really struggling due to poor track maintenance. So I previously used a rubber, and I've just got to the stage now where the layout's big enough and complex enough that I need help. And I found that help with this Dapol wagon, and as you can see, it's cruising along no problem at all, which is exactly what I needed it for, to be honest. And it's really nice to be able to buy a product which quite literally does what it says on the tin, and just gives you a hand in help up in terms of the maintenance of the track. Going forward, what I'm going to be doing is adding this into my routine of track maintenance. Probably along with the locos. I mean, you're meant to add a bit of oil to the locos every 6 months. So most people get a new engine or a bit of freight, or I don't know, something every so often. So I suppose every time you're running something in, if you were to get this out, it wouldn't be any bother at all. And like I said, it's just easy peasy. Definitely gets a thumbs up from me at New Junction. But as ever, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. I'm chuffed to bits with this. It absolutely ticks the box. I'm ecstatic with it. But I'm going to let you go. Thank you for watching as ever. Take care. Bye.